Self-control begins with what you refuse to say. There are moments in life when the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. In the heat of an argument, when your blood begins to boil, and words sit trembling on the edge of your tongue, ready to launch like weapons, you pause. Not because you don't have something clever to say, not because you lack the courage to speak, but because you've learned that not every thought deserves a voice. Not every emotion needs an audience. And sometimes, silence is the ultimate proof of strength. This is where true self-control begins. Not in grand displays of restraint, not in public performances of discipline, but in quiet decisions. What you choose not to say when the temptation to lash out, defend, or dominate is at its peak. We live in a culture that rewards expression. We're told to speak our truth, to never hold back, to let it all out. But what if wisdom lies not in expression, but in measured silence? What if real power comes not from letting go of your filter, but from building one made of clarity, compassion, and calm? The battlefield of the mouth. Words are the currency of human connection, but they're also the ammunition of conflict. The wrong word at the wrong time can fracture a relationship, escalate a misunderstanding, or scar someone's self-esteem in ways that take years to repair. And once spoken, words cannot be undone. They echo, they linger, they imprint. That's why self-control often begins not with action, but with restraint. Not with what you do, but with what you stop yourself from doing. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "If someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself against their accusations, but reply, 'You obviously don't know me very well, since you would say such a thing.'" In other words, don't waste your energy on defending your ego. Don't waste your breath on proving something that doesn't need proving. The more you react, the more you reveal how much power others have over you. Instead, hold your ground in silence. Let the fire pass through you without catching flame. Silence is not weakness, it's mastery. There's a quiet dignity in refusing to be provoked. Think of the last time someone insulted you or tried to bait you into an argument. That twitch in your chest, that surge of adrenaline, it's the ego sounding the alarm. Protect me. Prove them wrong, say something. But responding to every jab is like throwing fuel on a fire you don't even want to be near. Every word you toss in becomes part of the blaze. Now imagine you pause, you look them in the eye, you breathe, and you say nothing. That silence? It's not emptiness. It's control. It's a quiet refusal to be manipulated. A refusal to let your emotions hijack your principles. This isn't about being cold or detached. It's about being intentional. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough not to ruin what matters most, your peace, your values, your relationships, your integrity. The psychology of restraint. Psychologists talk about impulse control as one of the most important markers of emotional intelligence. It's what separates those who react from those who respond. And it starts with awareness. When you feel the urge to speak out of anger, or fear, or pride, that's your cue. That's the sacred moment of choice. You can let the emotion drive the vehicle, or you can take the wheel. And the truth is, most of the time, the first thing you want to say isn't the wisest thing you could say. In fact, the smarter version of yourself, the one that exists 10 minutes later, usually regrets what the emotional version said in the heat of the moment. That's why great leaders, wise teachers, and emotionally resilient people speak slowly. or not at all. When emotions run high, they know the cost of careless words. They know that silence is a space where wisdom can breathe. When words are used as weapons, some people argue not to solve a problem, but to win. They use words like blades, sharp, calculated, intended to wound, and if you meet them on that battlefield, you lower yourself to their tactics. You allow them to shape the rules of engagement. You risk becoming what you despise. But refusing to play that game? That's how you win without fighting. You don't have to match their volume. You don't have to mirror their bitterness. You don't have to prove that you're unshakable by yelling louder. You prove it by not reacting. You rise when you choose peace over pride. You win when you protect your energy instead of wasting it. Stillness in conversation is a superpower. Most people are afraid of silence. It feels awkward. It creates tension. We rush to fill the void, thinking that if we're not talking, we're losing. But what if stillness is the real superpower? In negotiations, the person who speaks first often loses leverage. In therapy, the most powerful breakthroughs happen when silence allows pain to surface. In relationships, a calm pause can de-escalate what would have become a shouting match. Stillness invites truth, it invites reflection, and it gives both you and others the space to listen, not just to words, but to intentions, to emotions, to what's not being said. The inner dialogue that shapes your outer words. The real work of self-control begins inside your own mind. The voice in your head, the one that wants to argue, defend, gossip, or lash out. That's the one you must first learn to observe. You don't have to shut it down. You don't have to judge it. But you must separate from it. You must become the observer, not the reactor. Because when you realize that you are not your first impulse, you are not the angry thought, you are not the need to be right, then you can choose. And in that choice lies your freedom. Ask yourself, is this worth saying? Does it build or destroy? Does it heal or harm? Not every opinion needs to be shared. Not every offense needs a rebuttal. Not every story needs a reaction. Let your silence be a sign of discernment, not disinterest. Let it show that you've grown beyond the need for approval or dominance. Choosing your words with intention. Self-control doesn't mean never speaking. It means knowing when to speak and how to speak in a way that reflects your highest self. It means using words to connect, not to conquer, to clarify, not to confuse, to uplift, not to undermine. Your words should be like architecture, strong, well-designed, purposeful, each one laid down with care. Because you know that others will walk through what you've built. And when you don't yet know what to say, wait, the right words will come when you've returned to clarity. The quiet confidence of self-mastery. There is a kind of person who walks into a room and commands respect without saying a word. It's not because they're aloof. It's because they're grounded. You can feel their inner stillness. You can sense that they're not here to prove anything. They've already won a battle most people are still fighting, the battle against themselves. These people have power not because they speak often, but because when they speak, it means something. Their words carry weight because they're not wasted. That kind of confidence isn't loud. It's quiet. It comes from deep self-knowledge. From the unshakable understanding that you don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to convince anyone of who you are. You just are. In the end, let silence be your strength. There will be times when your silence is misunderstood. When others think you're avoiding, retreating, or surrendering. Let them think what they will. Your job is not to control their perception. Your job is to master your own presence. You don't owe the world your reactions. You owe yourself your peace. So the next time anger rises, the next time judgment tempts your tongue, the next time you feel the need to prove something, pause. Breathe. Remember, self-control begins with what you refuse to say. And in that refusal, you become the master of your emotions, the guardian of your energy, the quiet force that cannot be shaken. Because sometimes the most powerful message you can deliver is the one you never speak.